How do I get ROMs? This is probably the number one question that people like me who make videos on emulation and homebrew receive. And it makes sense. Most tutorials are done with the assumption that you already have ROMs available, but they never really tell you how or where to get those ROMs. And there's a reason for this. The reason is that most likely the ROMs were gotten somewhere off the internet, which isn't really legal. And while the morality of it can be debatable and a talk for another video, this is just the way things are. If I were to make a video telling you how and where to download ROMs off the internet, I could risk getting a strike on my video and putting my channel in jeopardy. Emulation and homebrew tend to already be gray areas legally, and it can be very easy to get into trouble if you're not careful. I myself have already gotten a strike on my channel for some of these reasons. But fear not, there are legal ways to obtain ROMs which can have some benefits even if you don't care about downloading them from the internet. The main benefit includes the ability to back up save files. Not all methods have this ability, but many do. In addition, it's much safer to back up your ROMs yourself than to download them from the internet, which could potentially have viruses and other things. Now, without further ado, let's get right into it. The first way to get ROMs is to purchase them. While this isn't available for every game, in fact it's not available for most games, there are some ROMs that are available for purchase legally. Sega's Mega Drive and Genesis Classic package on Steam includes the ROM files with the purchase. After purchasing it on Steam, locate the folder wherever it's installed at. It should be named Sega Classics. Then locate the uncompressed ROMs folder and copy it to wherever you like. For better compatibility with emulators, rename the .68k files to .bin files. And it's as easy as that. Feel free to use the ROMs in whatever emulator you like, or just stick with the default Sega emulator. It's up to you. If only other companies could follow Sega's footsteps. The second method for getting ROMs is ripping emulated releases. Sometimes old games get re-released as emulated releases. Unfortunately, most companies don't release the ROMs that came with these releases like Sega does. But with mods and homebrew, the original ROM files can be extracted in some cases. These include the Virtual Console releases on consoles such as the Wii U, PlayStation Classic releases on consoles such as the PSP, and consoles such as the PlayStation Classic and Sega Genesis Classic. The Virtual Console extractions require a homebrewed console, and the classic consoles need to be hacked in order to do this. Some example homebrew to use would be the Wii U Virtual Console extractor. Be sure to research the method to mod your console, and the homebrew needed in order to pull this off. The third method for getting ROMs is ripping hardware. This mainly applies to older consoles all the way up to the 4th gen. There are various dumping hardware that you can purchase and use. Examples include the Retroid and Save the Hero Builder's cart reader, which uses the open source Sani cart reader. These tools typically have multiple slots where you can insert physical cartridges in. They can then back up the ROM and even save files to a computer or something like an SD card. Some of them can even transfer save files from an emulator back to the original cartridge. The amount of cartridges that are supported as well as the price can vary, so make sure to do your research to make sure that the one that you're buying can support the games that you have. The fourth method for getting ROMs is homebrew. As we have discussed in our homebrew video, many devices have homebrew that can allow you to dump your games and save files as well. This typically applies to more modern consoles, typically 5th generation and above. Examples include Heartgold 9 for the 3DS, which can dump both 3DS and NDS games, CleanRip for the Wii, which can dump both GameCube and Wii games, and PSP Filer for the PSP, which can dump PSP games. These are just some examples, and there are plenty more for other consoles as well. Make sure to check the homebrew for the consoles you have. The process typically involves inserting the game into the console, launching the homebrew, and then dumping the game to a hard drive, SD card, or even over FTP. Some applications are only made to dump games, but others might have ROM dumping as one of the many different features, such as Heartgold 9. The fifth method to getting ROMs is to use a disk drive. With some disk-based consoles, you can simply rip the ISO file using a disk drive. It doesn't apply to every console, but there are still a few consoles where this is possible. Some disks only work on specific disk drives, so be sure to do your research. Some consoles that support this include the PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, and even the PlayStation 3. It should be noted that this method typically isn't as reliable as other methods, but it can get the job done if you don't have any other option. The process typically involves inserting your game into a disk drive and then using a program such as EmuGen to rip the ISO file. Some consoles require a specific program to use, so be sure to do your research again. And with that, those are some legal ways to get ROMs. While I can't give you a website to download ROMs from, I can at least give you this. And while the morality of downloading ROMs is definitely something to be debated and something I will probably do in another video, the fact still remains it is illegal, and unfortunately I can't share that with you. Hopefully this helps, and I'll see you guys later.